They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting different results. This couldn't be more true for many EAFC 25 players who refuse to evolve their play style or embrace the strategies that actually work. In today's video, I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm not holding back because this is a wake-up call for those of you stuck in the same patterns, wondering why you're not progressing through divisions or finding success in the game. I promise that by the end of this, you'll understand the changes you need to make and how to implement them. Let's start with the first point, and this one's a biggie. You refuse to learn skill moves. Do you fall into this category? If the thought of using skill moves makes you roll your eyes, or you've convinced yourself that they're too complicated or unnecessary, then we need to talk. Not learning skill moves is the single biggest reason you're stuck in your current division. Skill moves are not just a flashy addition to the game. They are a tool, a weapon, and a strategy all rolled into one. Pull up any pro player's gameplay, and I guarantee the first thing you'll notice is their frequent use of skill moves. It's not because they want to show off or look cool. It's because skill moves are incredibly effective at breaking down defenses. A lot of people think skill moves are some mystical art form that only the elite can master. They imagine they need to learn a dozen complex tricks to even stand a chance. But that's far from the truth. Let me simplify it for you. You don't need to be flashy. You don't need to memorize every skill move in the game. All you need are 3 to 4 basic moves that you can use consistently. For example, the R1 plus right stick flick, left or right, is one of the easiest and most effective skill moves in the game. It's simple to execute and incredibly powerful in the right situations. Players overcomplicate skill moves in their heads, thinking they need to be chaining 5-star moves back to back like they're in a highlight reel. But in reality, even the simplest moves can give you a massive advantage. To get started, let's talk about some basic skill moves that every player should know. The ball roll is one of the simplest moves to change direction and avoid tackles. All you have to do is hold the right stick in the direction you want to roll. It's effective in tight spaces or when facing a defender head-on. The step over creates an explosive burst of speed into open space. Perform a circular motion on the right stick, then push forward with the left stick. It's perfect for accelerating past a defender. Another great move is the fake shot stop. This freezes defenders, allowing you to change direction or shoot. Press the shoot button, then immediately press the pass button. Use this in the box when defenders are closing in. Finally, there's the directional nutmeg, which is fast, effective, and breaks defensive lines. Hold L1 and R1, then flick the right stick in the direction you want to go. It works wonders in one-on-one situations or to bypass a midfield press. Now let's address why skill moves are such a game changer. First, they break defensive AI. The defending AI in EAFC 25 is designed to track predictable movements. Passing alone won't cut it because the AI adapts and positions itself to intercept your plays. Skill moves disrupt this flow, forcing the AI to reset and creating opportunities for you to exploit. Second, they create space. By using skill moves, you can drag defenders out of position, open up passing lanes, and create scoring opportunities. A simple ball roll or step over can be the difference between a block shot and a goal. There's also a psychological aspect to skill moves. When you successfully execute a skill move, you not only demoralize your opponent, but also build your own confidence. That confidence translates into better gameplay overall. If you're still hesitant about learning skill moves, let's dive into why that mindset is holding you back. Many players avoid skill moves because they're afraid of messing up. But here's the truth. Failure is part of the learning process. You will fail, and that's okay. Every missed skill move brings you closer to mastering it. Watching tutorials or reading guides won't make you better. You need to practice, Spend time in the practice arena or squad battles to perfect your moves in a low-pressure environment. Some players overcomplicate skill moves, thinking they need to string together complex combinations. Start small, master one or two moves, then gradually expand your repertoire. Here are some practical tips for mastering skill moves. Start in squad battles. Set the difficulty to beginner and focus solely on practicing skill moves. Forget about scoring goals. Just get comfortable with the mechanics. Use training drills to practice specific scenarios where skill moves are effective. Focus on timing. Skill moves are most effective when timed correctly. Don't spam them. Wait for the right moment to execute, like when a defender lunges in or overcommits. Record your matches and review them. Identify situations where a skill move could have made a difference. Let's look at an example. Imagine you're in a one-on-one situation with a defender. Without skill moves, you try to dribble past them, but they block your path. You lose possession, and the defender clears the ball. With skill moves, you use a ball roll to shift the defender's position, followed by a step over to accelerate into space. You're now in a better position to take a shot or make a pass. This simple scenario highlights the effectiveness of even the most basic skill moves. If you're serious about improving in EAFC 25, it's time to stop making excuses and start putting in the work. Skill moves are not optional, they're essential. Refusing to learn them is like tying one hand behind your back and wondering why you're struggling to win. So, are you ready to break the cycle? Are you ready to stop doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Let's change that today. Take the first step by practicing the moves we discussed, and I guarantee you'll see a difference in your gameplay. For an in-depth guide on skill moves, when to use them, how to use them, and a complete dribbling tutorial, check out Retro Academy. I'll teach you the fundamentals, including the best players for each position, mastering defense, perfecting the 4-4-2 formation, and understanding the game mechanics of EAFC like a pro. Check out the pinned link in the comment for more info. One of the main reasons why you're not improving is that you keep blaming external factors instead of focusing on what you can control. This mindset is a massive roadblock to progress, and if you don't address it, you'll remain stuck in the same spot, wondering why you're not advancing in EAFC 25. Let's break this down so you can recognize this tendency, understand why it's hurting your game, and learn how to shift your focus to what truly matters. Think about this. How often do you go into a game and immediately feel defeated just because your opponent has a stronger team? You see their stacked squad filled with high-rated players and icons, and you assume you've already lost before the match even begins. This defeatist attitude doesn't just hurt your performance. It guarantees that you're not giving yourself a fair shot to succeed. What many players fail to realize is that having a strong team doesn't automatically make someone good at the game. Sure, their team might give them certain advantages, but that doesn't mean they know how to use those players effectively. Often these players have spent a lot of money on the game to build their squad, but lack the fundamentals of gameplay. They rely solely on their team's attributes, rather than their own skill. That's why it's crucial to stop focusing on what your opponent has and start focusing on what you can do. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming the quality of your opponent's team when you lose. You tell yourself, well, of course, they won. They have a better team than me. While it's true that better players can give someone an advantage, that doesn't mean the player using them is invincible. And blaming external factors like this doesn't help you improve. In fact, it does the opposite. It validates your losses and gives you an excuse not to analyze what went wrong in your own gameplay. The truth is that EAFC 25 is a game where fundamentals reign supreme. If you master the basics, you can compete against almost any team, regardless of how strong they are. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're up against a team filled with icons and top-tier players, while your team is much weaker in comparison. On paper, it looks like you don't stand a chance. But what if you understand positioning better than your opponent? What if you're better at timing your tackles or reading their passing lanes? These are the things that can level the playing field and even give you an edge over someone with a stacked squad. It's also worth mentioning that ratings and stats don't tell the full story. Just because a player has a higher rating doesn't automatically make them better than someone with a lower rating. Ratings are a guideline, but they don't account for how well a player fits into your playstyle or how effectively you can use them. The same principle applies to teams. Just because someone has a dream team doesn't mean they know how to utilize it. The game isn't just about who has the best players. It's about how you play the game. Now let's talk about another major issue: blaming luck and external conditions like your internet connection. How often have you lost a game and immediately blamed it on lag? While it's true that some games are practically unplayable due to delay, it's important to recognize that this isn't happening in every game. Blaming lag for every loss becomes a crutch, and it stops you from reflecting on the aspects of your game that you can improve. The reality is that everyone deals with lag at some point. It's not unique to you. Yes, it's frustrating, but instead of dwelling on it, think about how you can manage it. For example, avoid playing during peak hours when server traffic is at its highest. If you know that weekend league matches are laggy on Fridays, schedule your games for quieter times. Taking control of these factors shows maturity in your approach and helps you make the most of the games you do play. It's also worth noting that the obsession with blaming luck extends beyond internet issues. Some players claim they're unlucky in every match. They believe their opponent always gets the favorable bounce, the lucky deflection, or the fortunate rebound. While luck does play a role in EAFC 25, it's part of the unpredictability of the game. It's not something you can control. What you can control is how you respond to these situations. Are you positioning your players correctly to minimize the impact of a deflection? Are you staying composed when the ball doesn't bounce your way? These are the questions you should be asking yourself instead of fixating on bad luck. The foundation of success in EAFC 25 lies in mastering the fundamentals. Let's break this down. Fundamentals include things like positioning, passing accuracy, defensive awareness, and shot selection. These are the building blocks of good gameplay, and they're within your control. When you focus on these aspects, you become less reliant on external factors like the quality of your team or the state of your internet connection. You start to realize that improvement comes from within. One of the most important fundamentals to master is positioning. Good positioning can make up for a lack of pace, strength, or skill moves. If you position your players correctly, you can intercept passes, close down spaces, and create opportunities for yourself. Positioning isn't just about where your players are on the pitch. It's also about anticipating your opponent's movements and thinking one step ahead. Another crucial fundamental is passing accuracy. Too often, players rush their passes without considering their options, leading to turnovers and counterattacks. Taking an extra second to evaluate your passing options can make a huge difference. Aim to keep your passing percentage above 85% in every game. This shows that you're maintaining possession and making smart decisions with the ball. Defensive awareness is another area where many players struggle. Defending in EAFC 25 requires patience and discipline. Instead of rushing in for a tackle, focus on containing your opponent and forcing them into making a mistake. Use your defensive midfielders to cut off passing lanes and shield your backline. Remember, good defense starts with smart positioning. Finally, let's talk about shot selection. Too many players take low percentage shots out of desperation, hoping for a lucky goal. Instead, focus on creating high-quality chances. Look for opportunities where you have a clear angle to shoot, or where you can force the goalkeeper into a difficult save. Quality over quantity is the key when it comes to scoring goals. By committing to these fundamentals, you set yourself apart from the average player. You stop relying on external factors and start taking responsibility for your own improvement. This shift in mindset is what transforms a good player into a great one. To wrap things up, let's revisit the main takeaway. Stop blaming everything on things outside of your control, whether it's your opponent's team, lag, or bad luck. These excuses are holding you back. Instead, focus on what you can control: your positioning, passing, defense, and shot selection. These are the areas where you can make a real difference. Remember, improvement doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires effort, discipline, and a willingness to learn. The next time you lose a game, resist the urge to blame external factors. Instead, take a step back and analyze what you could have done differently. This is the mindset that leads to growth and success in EAFC 25. Lastly, remember that tactics are deeply personal. What works for one player might not work for another, even if they share similar skill levels. Pro players don't just use tactics because they look good on paper. They use them because they've identified strategies that amplify their strengths and mitigate their weaknesses. The next time you're tempted to copy a pro's tactics, take a moment to reflect on whether they align with your style of play. Use them as inspiration, not as a definitive solution. The goal isn't to play like someone else. It's to develop a style that works for you. When you take the time to understand and adapt tactics to your strengths, you'll find yourself improving steadily and playing with more confidence. Don't forget to check out Retro Academy, where I teach you the fundamentals of EAFC 25. Learn what to look for when choosing players, how to select the best ones for your playstyle, and most importantly, dive into my custom 4-4-2 formation. I'll break down why I use it, how to build up play, defend effectively, and score with precision, all presented in clear, easy-to-follow sections. Don't miss out. Find the link in the pinned comment.